Hey, welcome back to our drills. It's been a while since we got together. We've been pretty set in our ways on some things, but we've had to make some adjustments this year with some defenses that we've been seeing with our new personnel. So I wanted to talk to you today about beating traps on-ball screens. We're not talking about full court traps. We're talking about when we set an on-ball screen, what we are looking for versus teams that are doing something aggressive. It doesn't even really have to be a trap. It could be a hard hedge. It could be a switch or a show, but this is a little drill that we did last week in a preparation when we were anticipating a lot of traps. So talking through it, first thing we always talk about doing is make sure we set them up for that. You know they've been working on it in their scout. The last few days in preparation, you know that coach has been drilling X, Y, and Z. Let them do that. Let them work on the things that they've been working on. Giving ball pressure, really applying a lot of disruption to our ball handler. Then how they're going to sprint to the screen with your player. Set them up for it. You want your ball handler, when we start to show these drills, you want this ball handler to really be aggressive with speed dribble down, and we call them kind of like Top Gun moves. Throw on those brakes so that defense may slide below the screen. Throw those brakes on, let the defense slide down a little bit. Set them up for that. Stopping and starting. A lot of us work on starting. A lot of us work on explosive moves. But a lot of us don't work on being on balance when you stop. So, that's having your feet underneath your frame. It's having the ball in a position that you can keep it away from the defense. There's a lot that goes into it. We could do another video on that. But let's just say that ball handler has to be able to handle the first layer. To be good at any ball screen, you can't be worried about your ball handling. So if your player can't dribble it left-handed, right-hand with their eyes up, not their head up. We have a lot of kids that can have their head up but their eyes looking down. Their eyes are up. They are taking care of that first defensive player that's guarding them just by being confident with the ball. Then they have to be able to read the second and the third layer. That's what any good ball screen ball handler must be able to do, the very bare minimums. The screener's importance. When that screen comes, they have to do their best to arrive without a defensive player. The player that's going to be setting the trap or doing the hard hedge or the stab or whatever terminology you want to apply to it. The screener must be violent in their sprint to that side wherever you want the ball set. And again, use your terminologies, use your philosophies on how you're setting screens. We could do a whole topic on this someday as well. But the screener must do everything they can do to get there without their defender or a late defender, a lazy or a late defender. If you can create that as a screener, we've got a great beginning to being able to beat the trap. Then you have to have your help being ready, occupy the help. This is what we call our attackers. We have to be ready. If it's a ball side corner, which you'll see coming up here, that person has to be ready to rise behind a roll. They have to be ready to make themselves available. The weak side, we have to do something to occupy the other players because they are going to commit two players to the ball handler. So now we've got to go make them wrong. So a couple other things that we'll talk about when we get to the drill. Play, not plays. This is not a play. This is not a diagram. This doesn't say you do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, read. No, this is play, not plays. Give them the techniques. Then reward the decisions at first. Don't keep score, traditionally. Reward them for the right decisions. Because if you don't ever allow them to make and play through these mistakes in practice, then don't expect them to go out there and do it when it comes game time. So these two things are kind of that next layer. I don't really have a name for the drill. You could, apply it to the name of your opponent. But what we try to set up here is starts out as a 2v1, okay? It is this ball handler versus these two defenders, B right here and Luke right here, all right? Our ball handler, Michaela, she has set them up with the ball screen. We've got a player in the corner, ball side. We've got a player on the weak side, and the player here is our attackers. So what we are going to do is first make Mac beat the trap and then make the right decision. The key after that is to know that opponent, I promise you, has always worked on where to take away the most obvious pass. That's how teams do it. You can guarantee that. So they're going to take away one of the two, but they're going to run out of people eventually. You've got to get this kid in a scenario where she's able to make these two players wrong. So the way we started out was just doing this 2v1. Okay? Invite the trap. and then we sprint. We call it tails and nails on our court. The hog's tail and the nail that exists right here at the free throw line. There's not always a tail in the gym, but there's almost always a nail. So we added a defender here. So now what we did, we started it as a 2v1, Mac versus Luke and B. But the second that she passes it to the tail or the nail or the roller or the riser, now it becomes 4v3. And we keep building that to make decisions. So we're talking through these options, making sure that we are on the move, that we are saving our teammate from any time there is a trap. She's going to sprint dribble down through the Nolan Richardson court, going against, this is an SEC midfielder of the year in soccer defensive player, B. Franklin. Pretty tough defender. Mac is going to drive her down, put the brakes on. You see that Miriam has done her job. Luke is late. If he's trying to trap this, because she changed her direction and changed her speed, Luke is below her. So this is going to become a really hard trap. So now Talia can turn with some aggressiveness. Miriam's going to roll hard. Keats is flashing to the nail, and Sailor's on her way to the tail. Talia makes the right read. We make a right play out of it. Reward the decision. Right decision. And again, we're playing right now 4v3, man up, man advantage. That time B overplayed the screen. She cheated the screen a little bit. Ball handler sees that. When she sees her cheat the screen, Sam just racks it, and that becomes a completely different scenario. All right, we drive down. Turns the ball handler. Miriam does a really good job getting there. Luke shows early. Kaysen commits to the tail. That opens up the nail flash. Talia makes herself available. She's not sneaking in there. She is big. She's demonstrative. Miriam is on her way to roll because they've done a good job of taking that away. We turn it over there. Okay. That would have been a time when maybe early on you might get frustrated and say, oh, that's a bad play. Not necessarily, as long as you learn from it. Now, we get the screen really moved down. The screener does an unbelievable job of getting this player off, but Luke is in great position. We throw it to the tail. The high flash is here. She gets out of the way, opens up a tough closeout, and we get a good basket drive. Drive it down, invite the screen, split the screen. Notice Mac with a good step through. She gets her head and shoulders through. She's not like a back foot quarterback. They've taken away the tail, so we look to the nail. I think we get a nail to the roll right here, okay? Because what we are saying is that this player may have taken the tail, opening up our basket cut. We might have traveled, again, not going full speed yet. Reward the decision. Great retreat dribble. Back on her heels a little bit, but delivers it in the right spot. This is the next play. We talk about drilling it so we can execute it. Don't expect your team to go out in the game and do stuff you haven't practiced. You know, the days of being able to draw it up on the board or say, hey, I put it on your iPad, you should have known. If you haven't practiced it, man, you shouldn't have a very high expectation or a very high level of frustration. Your frustration level should be real low if you haven't worked at it. So now we're going to add 2 defenders, okay? What we're looking for here, again, changing our angle, making them do something different. That time they kind of played both, and we were able to hit the roller. They overplayed. Sam makes a great read here. And again, we fumbled it in the game. So obviously that's something that you wouldn't expect out of. You wouldn't have a high frustration level. If you did it in practice, don't be mad at them if they do it in the game. Okay, so now we have added the defender. Okay, we added the ball side defender here so that she could maybe tag the roller, because that's what a lot of people will do. They'll tag this roller, which now brings this ball side corner, our attacker, this attacker, that attacker. I love this stop right here where I paused it. Look at Keats. She's ready. Look at Talia. She's ready to go. Look at Sailor. She's reading. She's ready to go. Chris is obviously on her way. Mac has driven her player below her. Makes a great screening angle. Invites the trap. Tail, occupied. Nail, we're on our way. Puts Kaysen in an impossible decision. Lauren is on her way to try to tag. Keats is on her way to rise behind the roll. So we get it to the tail. We get it out. We throw it across. Next pass, you keep the ball moving. And look at the shot we end up with. You never stall the ball. If you stall the ball versus a trap, if you stall the ball, that allows the teams to rotate. And now they're back in there what we call slap the floor defense. If they're able to go back what they've been working on in practice, you got a tough time beating them when it comes game time. Coach Todd pointing out here, you've got to come out of this corner. It's not a saunter. It's not a sachet. It is a go. This time they reject it. We throw it high to low, get a great kick and a great next. Constantly trying to create long closeouts, bad closeouts, multiple scrambles. And again, we get back-to-back catch and shoot threes. Again, in the game that we were working on, she ended up hitting 4 threes in the third quarter out of actions just like this. Might have come a little bit early, but that's still fine. Occupying tail and nail. We've got our eyes up. You can see Sam's eyes. Well, you can see her head here is up, but I know her eyes were up from practice. Chris executes the great roll. Max sprinting up out of the corner like Coach just pointed out. Sam handles the 2-on-1. She does not panic. No panic. She delivers a pass, and now we got all the defense so high, now we get to play. There would be one other player down here playing 2-on-1. Still 5-on-4 here. Great screen, great draw. Kaysen takes the nail. She strings it out. We move it high. They still stay high. Opens up the basket. Got a couple of those. Tail and nail. We're a little late to the tail. The nail's open. The rise is there. Look here. We had this or this. We had basket or kick out 3. Okay? Great trap. She does a good job. Her eyes are up. She's reading the set. She's not worried about this kid. She can't be. Not in playing this level. She's got her ball handling skills have to be good enough to eliminate her. Now she got to attack this one and read the rest. Read the rest. And that's the separation. That's where the separation becomes. This kid's a McDonald's All-American coming out of high school. The difference between a McDonald's All-American and a person like me that ate at McDonald's, I couldn't make that pass. Okay, now we're 5v5. Okay, so this will be the last one I'll talk through, and then I'll kind of just let the film run and you can make your coaching points and adjustments to your style of play. But we've built this thing from 2v1, the ball handler in the screen, okay, with the screen defense, the screen offense, but she wasn't an option. You went from 2v1 to 3v2 to 4v3. Now we're up to 5v5. I do really believe in whole part teaching. Teach it as a part so they can have a little bit of level of mastery. It wasn't full mastery in one day, but at least they knew where to rotate to. Teach it as a part, build it as a whole. When you're doing offense, hear that difference. If we were working on our trapping, we work 5v5. But when we're doing offense, which is more art-like than science, break it down first. So now we're up to 5v5. There's 5 defensive players out there. Again, we've got an advantage because we've drawn 2. They take away the tail. They kind of take away the nail, which leaves the roller as the option. We've got to locate her. And because of her cut, we're able to find her. Got to catch it. That's another topic for another day, but our guard made the right read. So that, therefore, is rewarded. We keep playing, not making a play. It's not a play. It's not a diagram. It's not an ABCD movement. We made a play. Tough with the ball. Stretch it out. Much better delivered pass. Should have gone quicker or should have thrown it here. And we'll show her to that on film. Last one, then I'll leave it with you. Let's end on a good one. Coaches love to end on a good one. We all say that. End on a make. Even though there's no scientific evidence whatsoever that it's beneficial, we all say it. But in this case, we probably would have gone, how many ever times you mess it up, that's how many times you have to get it right. So if at the end of the practice you usually say end on a make, if they missed 3 before, you need to make 3 in a row, okay? So let's see what we do out here. We get it out, we get the roll, we keep the ball moving, it never stalls. We get a long closeout, basket attack, layup. Good. That's a good place to stop it. So I'll leave this up on our video. I'll have Evan continue to show any more clips that you need from us. Just email us. But anytime that you're going against an opponent that you're anticipating trapping your ball screens, just a simple little way in practice to set it up, to execute it, and a great way to reward it.